Alright guys, so this is going to be my submission video for Battle for Bikini Bottom Bingo. So if you're not really familiar with the rules of bingo in this game, which I'm assuming many people are not, basically we play bingo with any percent rules nowadays, which means that you try to beat the game as fast as possible, but at the same time you want to complete whatever objective you're trying to do on the bingo card. So if you're doing double bingo, you would try to complete 2 lines at the same time as you're beating the game normally. Typically what I like to do personally is blackout bingo, which means you try to get every objective on the card, which I think is way more fun in terms of like an on-the-fly routing perspective. So here, I'm going to start the run now. Typically what I like to do is I like to only reveal the card after starting the run for this game. I just think it makes the routing and play more interesting. I'm starting with a save file. I hope that doesn't come into play at all, but it might. So it's better to be safe than sorry, but yeah, so we're going to start now. Now I can reveal a card and start looking at it. I already see some things I don't like on the top row. I already see Flounder Hill Sandman Sock, which means that I'm going to need to go do a slower section later on. Rooftops all socks. Okay, so this means I'm probably going to be doing the alternate route, the older style of route for any percent.
There's nothing.
There's a lot of objectives I'm seeing that cross over. Which is always nice in terms of like, you don't want to do a bunch of... You don't... Like, if you're going for a good time in a bingo, you definitely don't want to be going for a ton of objectives that are all over the place and scattered around, because that's gonna be kind of slow. So this trick, I didn't really talk about this much, but it's basically just disabling out-of-bounds triggers throughout the game. You're going to see one of those coming up here in Cal Bungee. We're going to jump into the pit, and normally that wouldn't work because the hand would just grab you if you tried that, but if you disable the hand, then you can just go in there and get the spatula, and it's a pretty big sequence break. We're not going to be using it for like a while, I don't think. It depends on if I need spatulas to enter Poseidon or not for this. Okay, so I'm going to go for this trick a few times. If I don't get it, then I'm just going to do the backup, which is why this overlay is on the screen right now. I'll explain that in a little bit. I can't see. Okay. Okay, didn't get it, unfortunately. So the idea with this is you want to like ledge grab underneath an invisible wall so that you end up on the other side, basically. Okay, didn't work. I'll go for it one more time. I'm not very good at this trick, in all honesty, so I'm not really expecting to get it, but I don't want to just be sat here for minutes going for it. Yeah, okay. I'll just do the backup, and I'll explain some things while I'm doing the backup. So this loses like a minute having to do this, but it's free. It's not even hard at all, so... Yeah, so while I'm doing that, I guess I'll explain, like, in general what my thoughts are about this card. I'm gonna mark some things off that I can do early, if there are any. Let's see. I'm gonna mark off some things that are gonna be done before Industrial Park, ideally. That. See Grill Sock, which means I have to go to Crab's Dream. Bam. Bam, 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 bam. Nope, not that one. So yeah, in case you're not familiar with this, like the whole point of this is that there's invisible walls all around Bikini Bottom, but there's a gap in them, and yeah, if you have this overlay on the screen, you can walk on the death sand without getting grabbed by the hand. which you normally would not be able to do even with the hand disabled. So yeah, this we call this the save game glitch because it just says it's saving the game forever, but it's not actually saving the game. It's just a byproduct of us warping out of drowning into a spatula. So here I'm going to do the tree dome. Should I do the tree dome? Yeah, I need to do the tree dome. Because I don't want to go to Jellyfish Fields again before having more powerful movement options, because it will be pretty slow. So instead I gotta do this early, which loses a little bit of time, but it's not that bad in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, doing this tree dome fight without the bubble bowl just means that RNG kind of plays a bigger factor in this, because you get significantly more enemy spawns because you have to wait a while before destroying the last duplicator, which are the things that were spawning the enemies, the blue machines that sit on the ground. So now this is a pretty difficult trick for many people. It took me a while to get good at this, to the point where I wouldn't miss it very often. So let's see how it goes. Alright, good. First try. That trick gives a lot of people trouble because there's a lot of steps to it, and it's pretty complicated in terms of angles and positioning. So it was very nice getting that first try. So we're going to come in here, get a quick spatula. This also unlocks the warp for later, so it's not just raw time loss getting this. It kind of is, but kind of isn't at the same time. I got the sock that was before doing the SpongeBob trick, now that I think about it. So yeah, wasn't really talking there for a bit because needed to concentrate to do that. But yeah, as you can see, like, doing the tricks in the hubs is really big because it allows us to get to places like this way earlier than we're supposed to. Which opens up the routing in this game a lot. You're going to hear me not talk for a little bit again because I need to use sound cues to do this trick. Okay, looks like we got it. Good. You always like to see getting these tricks first try. I'm gonna open up this box for later because we're gonna need it. Actually, I don't know if I'll need it, but I'll probably need it. There's some routes that use that box for getting to Krabs' Dream, and there's a sock objective in there that we need on this card. So looks like we're gonna be going there. So now this is Sandy's Dream, a pretty big level. We don't really go through most of it. Yeah, so you're going to see us do a trick here to skip having to do any of this. I'm playing it a little safe just because missing it loses a lot of time and I don't really want to miss it. For how easy of a trick this loses a shocking amount of time if you mess it up. Okay, got it. So that skips basically the entire level. We don't have to go through like any of the slide to get the spatula, but we do have to go through some of it. Gotta make sure that I open that box because we need it for later. But on this card, we need all the socks in Dream, so we gotta go over here and get some socks. We also need a spatula in here called Swingers Ahoy, and there's also a sock associated with it that we need. So we're going to be doing that later, but unfortunately we need to pay shiny objects, which is the currency in the top right, to be able to even do it. At least with the strats I do. There are some strats you can do where you don't need to do that, but unfortunately in an any % style run or 100% style run, it's not really optimal to do that. At least as of right now it's not, and I'm not even good enough to do it anyway, so we won't be doing it. But yeah, we needed to get those socks. We're gonna be coming back later for the spatula. Okay, so getting this sock cutscene while you're collecting the spatula saves a little bit of time, and it looks really cool. So yeah. I'm getting that sock because we need to get to 10 socks, I believe, with the route I'm going to do to enter Poseidon. Which also means I'm doing this sock. Which I probably shouldn't have done. I probably should have done the other route, but whatever. This route's easier. And barely slower, I think. So whatever, we'll just do it this way. So that probably looked really weird if you don't know why we do that, but if you go around and get inside the trigger to enter a taxi pad, like during the cutscene, it saves a little bit of time because you can have two things happening at once, basically. You can have the cutscene playing, and you can be entering the next level already, so it saves time to do that. Basically every single taxi pad you can do something like that to overlay the cutscene with entering, which is pretty cool. Except Jellyfish Fields, obviously, but that doesn't have a cutscene for, like, you having the correct number of spatulas. Please? Please? Alright, finally got it. You need a one-frame jump to get up there and get that sock. Otherwise, the alternate strats are really slow. Okay, this segment is giving me a lot of trouble already. Alright. Timing for this is not that strict, but it's kind of weird. Okay, got it, finally. So this trick is pretty major, so we're going to basically sequence break the entire level with this trick. We're also going to come over here and hit this robot, which is necessary for challenge from Larry. Okay. Okay. Missing this trick too. Come on. Okay, that's kind of close. So that's another... So I didn't really go into detail when we did the trick to get to Patrick's Dream early, but when you slide off of a ledge during a damage boost, you actually gain grounded frames that let you do moves like the bash out of them. And that's basically what that is. We call that bash boosting. We use that a lot, actually, in any percent to skip places. That's a pretty big trick for the run. So I need all the socks and sea caves, which means I'm going to be doing this one early and the other two later on. There is a route for 100% that does all of these socks early, but it's barely faster and a lot harder. So I'm not going to be doing that, unfortunately. But yeah, in either route you get this sock early. But the other route would basically continue on the ice and go like all the way across the map to the other two socks. Which it does save a little bit of time. I should mention, if it's been a while since you've seen this game, like, it probably looks like I'm going a lot faster than you're used to. And part of the reason for this is because recently, as a community, we've voted to allow HDD loading. That's really, really unfortunate. I have to drown and get that sock. Because I need 10 socks to get a spatula to get into Poseidon. Play it kind of safe. So yeah, I messed up my normal movement for that, unfortunately, so that lost a pretty big chunk of time, but yeah. As a community, we've recently voted to, or not voted, we've pretty much decided as a community, it was pretty much unanimous, but we're allowing HDD loading now, which is basically loading the game off the hard drive instead of the disk, which is good for a couple reasons. It means that, like, your hardware is even less of a factor in your ability to go fast now. Because typically, like, people would have a lot of issues trying to find an Xbox that's suitable to run this game because the disk drive just has so many issues on the original Xbox. But yeah, HDD loading kind of eliminates that as a factor. There are still different types of hard drives, but the difference between them is so much less that it's not as big. It's not nearly as big of a problem as it was before, thankfully. Like, it was such a struggle for people before to try and find an Xbox that was good enough to run this game. It also kind of opened our eyes, like the whole process of like allowing HDD for the leaderboards kind of opened our eyes to like a lot of what we didn't realize before, like a lot of disk drive stuff and loading time stuff and stuff to do with the disk itself. Like, we didn't know about a whole lot of that before that whole process, but thankfully we know about it now. So the side effects to us being allowed to do HDD loading and runs is that, like, the first side effect is that the loading times are way faster than they used to be, which saves a lot of time throughout the run. But the unfortunate negative side effect is that there was a trick we would do all the time on disk loading, which is called lag clips, which unfortunately are not possible in HDD in any sort of reliable fashion because, like, there's significantly less lag in the levels themselves, which didn't really affect, like, the overall gameplay. Like, we didn't really have, like, lag reduction strats as a widespread thing that we did. But, like, the lack of lag means that we can't do the lag clips anymore. Like, there's just not lag in those levels in any sort of consistent manner, so unfortunately we have had to revert to some older strats for some segments, as well as come up with entirely new strats as a workaround. And as a result, the any % route for this game has changed a lot recently because of this. That's not really relevant as much to bingos, because what you're doing in a bingo is dependent on the card. So yeah, I mean, it's not really like that sort of like routing aspect isn't really relevant to this. It just means that, like, in general, the runs are going to be way faster now, no matter who you watch, as long as they're playing on HDD loading. Yeah. So yeah, the runs just are naturally going to be faster now as a result of this, which in my opinion is really good. I like that the loading times are faster, and I like that the disk drive of your Xbox is no longer a factor in the end time of your speedruns. Oh, okay, I'm kind of messing up that third face a little bit. Let's see. So now we're gonna return to Goo Lagoon, do some more things here now that we have the Bubble Bowl. So I like this a lot. You kind of just climb up the front of this machine instead of taking the stairs. Okay, unfortunate robot placement here. Couldn't really set up the combo there. So yeah, if you're not aware, you can actually combo robots into themselves. Okay, kind of messed that up a little bit. You can combo robots into themselves. Okay, I guess I'm going the other way for this because I messed up. I meant to go on the slide. It's hard to keep track of everything I need to do. I wasn't sure if I needed to get another sock in this level, which would have meant I had to go a different way if I needed it, but I'm pretty sure I don't need it. I'm pretty sure I don't need any of the socks on Goo Lagoon Pier as an objective in the card. Yeah, so if you've never seen a run of this game, it might look a little weird why I'm bringing Tiki's over here. But everything will become clear in a little bit. It's just, this is a little bit of a slow process, but this saves, like, the end result of this saves so much time that you just kind of have to do this. Okay, gotta be very careful not Okay, that's fine. You can stack tikis like this because you can just stand on top of one of them and pick it up. If you stack them in other ways, then it's really hard to recover, and you're going to lose a lot of time trying to recover it typically. You need a very particular camera setup to do this. In standing position. I'm going to try that again because I'm not confident in that. Good. Okay, that should work. So you need these tikis in a very particular setup, and if you don't know what's going on, things should start to become a little bit more clear now. So we're going to switch back to SpongeBob, and we're going to go in there and put a bubble bowl in between those two tikis. Alright, now things should become very clear. So this is called SBA, or ski ball abuse. It's actually been like 2.5 years since this was found, which is pretty incredible. Like, this absolutely changed the game in a lot of ways when this was found. So while this is going on, it's basically giving us shiny objects, like every single time the ball like oscillates in there, which right now is every other frame, which is what you want. Okay, that trick can be kind of tricky sometimes. But basically, while that's going on, we want to be doing as much stuff in the pier as we can while we're getting shiny objects. I'm looking at the card right now because I'm not entirely sure if I can mark anything off for this. I don't think I can. I don't think there's any objectives in the pier that matter, but there's a lot of quick stuff we can do here and stuff that makes the whole rest of the route faster, so obviously you gotta come here. In a bingo. Okay, way too many shiny objects. But I basically, like, I did that about as fast as you could reasonably expect to do it, so... Oh, I forgot I didn't do this yet. I'm kind of forgetful in terms of certain things about this game sometimes. So this is a cutscene skip. I don't know if we've seen one of these yet. But basically, if you drown during cutscenes, or get grabbed by the hand, or just die in general during cutscenes, you can cut off the end of the cutscene pretty effectively. This is a new thing. If you stand on the spot where the spatula spawns here, you actually save like half a second per spatula animation, which is pretty weird. We also didn't realize that for a long time. I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do for the rest of the run. This is pretty much gonna be the 100% route from here on out, I think. At least before we get into Industrial Park. I'm trying to figure out what all I can do. I think the things I have marked are basically what's gonna get done before we enter Industrial Park. I think that's the last spatula. I'm just gonna check. Yeah, okay, it was the last one. So we're gonna enter the Murmular now. I guess this is the one deviation from the 100% route, is we don't need to get all the socks in here. I don't know how many socks I need to get to actually enter Industrial Park, because you need 10. Or else you have to do a different spatula, which I might end up doing anyway. I'm gonna try to figure that out in my head as I go along here. So we have 2. Let's see. I don't think I need any of them in Murmular in early game. I'm pretty sure I don't. There's obviously the security tunnel sock, but I'm gonna get that in late game. So we do, I think, need all the spatulas. Is that on the card? I don't even know. It's not on the card. Okay, so we're gonna skip the spatula here. So yeah, it looks like we are gonna deviate from 100% a little bit. So we do need the spatula for the Towers of Power up here, which is the one that's up here, obviously, I just mentioned that. But we do not need the one that's on the ground. Like, typically you would do the spatula where you hit 3 funnel machines first and then come up here. But that spatula is like, it's a pretty long spatula, and you don't need to do it. So, yeah, I'm just gonna come up here and do this instead. Skip it entirely. Save a little bit of time. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, just counting to myself there because you need to build up some speed on the edge of that slide to do the trick I just did, which is getting to the prawn area early. That saves a lot of time, as you would imagine, because you don't need to go throughout the entire main chamber area. Okay, so this segment's also kind of cool if you've never seen it before. We don't have to enter any of the security tunnels. Cute little one-frame jump there. Of course I got that one and not the one in Goo Lagoon that I needed. I need to get this box because we need to come back for the sock later. And we use that box to get the sock. So. Okay, so we're just going to walk through here. I'm going to come back later because there's a trick we can do that makes the spatula like very, very fast. This might actually be like the single fastest spatula in the entire game. Just in the context of like an actual route. There are, of course, some like Squid's House that are pretty fast. Just as like standalone spatulas for a route, but like this one, like assuming you're in the Murmelair already, like that spatula in the ballroom is very, very, very fast. Actually, mark that off. I don't think I'm gonna have enough spatulas without going into rock bottom early, so I'm just gonna do that now. Because there are some pretty fast ones to do here, and we don't need anything in the trench. So that means that there's a pretty fast spatula we can do there that I would probably be doing anyway, just to get up to the amount of spatulas I need to beat the game. So it's good to do it early. It only loses a few seconds to do this stuff early. Okay, so that trick called Bathroom Boost, it's another one of those bash boosting tricks. That one's actually like really easy in comparison to most of the other ones. So that's a cool little thing you can do on HDD, is enter the gate to skip the spatula animation. Previously that loading screen back into the main area was too long to make that save time, but now it does save time, thankfully. Might not be enough speed. Okay, barely was enough speed, thankfully. I'm gonna get the sock that's down here. I don't know if I need it, but it's nice to have an extra sock or two, because you can trade socks with Patrick at the end of the game as kind of free spatulas if you've been collecting socks for other objectives in Bingo. Oh, unfortunate. Didn't quite space that right. Now I have to wait for this cycle. If you're better about your jump spacing there, then you can just make the first box cycle here. Alright, now we're going to go into Sand Mountain. Do a few things here. We obviously have to come back later for Flounder Hill. Because it's very slow to do that early, as you might imagine. Like, if you've never seen a run of this game, like, it's probably going to sound weird like that we're pushing things off for later. But stuff should become clear, like after Industrial Park. I'm gonna double jump there for safety. It's a little bit slower, but I would rather not fall off and lose a bunch of time. So we're gonna do Guppy Mound early. There are some strats where you can do it later and save time, but they're really hard and they don't save as much time as it looks like they might. So we're just going to do it early, and it's also 2 extra spatulas that you can do before Industrial Park to get up to 40 spatulas, which kind of brings into play like the main thing that you're routing around in bingo and in the game generally, in terms of like any percent, 100%, is like which 40 spatulas are the fastest to do before Industrial Park, which is where we unlock the final power-up, which is the cruise bubble. So like which spatulas are reasonably fast enough to do before then to make the entire rest of the game after that point even faster. So Guppy Mound is one that's pretty reasonable to do before then if you need it. Like in any percent, I don't know if people do this spatula still. They might still at top level, but they do it late game, I'm assuming. I'm not as up to date on current any percent routing just because I've been a little bit absent from the community in that respect. Just because at this point in time I've been running Pikmin 2 for a few months now. So yeah, can't give exact details on that kind of stuff, but this little portion of the run is pretty reasonable to do early game. It's not that slow in comparison to doing it late game, so yeah, figured may as well just do it now. Yeah, obviously this gives you 2 spatulas. It also gives you 3 socks, which is useful if you need to trade in a spatula early game. Oh god, oh, dream, right. Didn't go back here. I was wondering how am I going to get to 40 spatulas, because... Oh god, I'm still wondering. No, okay, I'm good. We didn't do the Krusty Krab yet. The Krusty Krab in a 100% style run is typically the thing that you do right before Industrial Park, for a reason that I will show off in a bit. But yeah, that will give us to 39 spatulas, and this is going to give us to 40. This fight segment right here called Swingers Ahoy, which is on the card. So we need to do this. There's also a sock in this area that we need for the card, so we would have had to come here anyway. So even if I didn't have to do the spatula, I probably would have anyway, because of having come over here for the sock anyway. Like, this is a generally pretty slow spatula just because it's so out of the way. But yeah, if you have to go over here anyway, it's pretty fast. Ooh, okay. Kinda messed that up. Ooh, good combo right there. Ooh, okay, kinda have to... Okay. I did not expect that to work from that far away, but if you're like... If you have your targeting for when to lasso an enemy pointed at them, and then you get hit like far away, you can just mash the lasso button and still get it. Pretty funny how that works. You get the sock. Kind of awkward menuing, have to go all the way back up to Krusty Krab, and I need the sock in here as well, so to get this sock you have to destroy everything in the Krusty Krab, including all these barrels and tikis and stuff. And these condiments. Okay, didn't want to get hit there because your health is pretty important here. Okay, that's why your health is important, because if you die in here, everything gets reset and you have to do it all over again. Which does not feel very good. Yeah, Krusty Krab with the sock. This is like a sleeper segment for like how hard it is to do this fast. Well, you can just lose a lot of time here, just trying to move around and avoid enemies and all that kind of fun stuff. Mark some objectives that I already have while I have the opportunity. So now we're in Industrial Park. So if you haven't seen what comes after Industrial Park, you're probably thinking, like, why are you doing this big long boss fight? Like, surely it would just be faster to replace the spatula and not use the cruise bubble for anything throughout the run. And if a certain trig didn't exist, then that might be true, but yes, it's very worth it to do the spatula, even in like any percent where it's not required. Like, it's overwhelmingly worth it to do this, even though this takes like 5 minutes just to do. There's also a pretty good opportunity for me to look at the card in these little downtime segments. Figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of the run. So I have 41 leaving this. Kelp Forest all socks is interesting. Which probably means I'm going to be getting the campers as well. So that's 7 spatulas from Kelp. Graveyard is 8 more, so that's 15 guaranteed. You need 34 after Industrial Park to beat the game. So that's 15 guaranteed. Beach is 2 more, because I have 2 that I haven't collected there yet. So 17. There's going to be 2 more in Dream, so that's 19. Flounder Hill gives me to 21. Rock Bottom is going to be not paying attention to what I'm doing. I also lost count. 17, 19, 21 after Flounder. Rock Bottom can put me at 25. Murmulaire 2 put me at 27. Jellyfish Fields is going to be 29, 31. And then downtown is going to be 34. Okay, so I don't think I need to enter any extra levels. I don't think I need to go out of my way for extra socks, that is. Or extra spatulas, rather. That does it. SpongeBob is back in the fight. This is a pretty cool thing. So if you're not really familiar with this fight, I haven't really explained the fight at all, but basically, like, if you're wondering why I'm getting hit by his vomit cycle, it's because, like, if you don't get hit, then he's just gonna vomit around the entire arena. And that is pretty slow, so it's better to just get hit by him and watch him do his little taunting than it is to watch that whole animation play out. So that's basically like why I'm doing things this way. Okay, I don't like what I'm doing right now, but I'm going to do it anyway. So Phase 3 is a really interesting segment because you can manipulate where Robo Patrick lands in this phase based on like where you're standing as he starts spinning. So I'm going to be trying to stand in very specific places to make him land in certain spots. Right here. Okay, missed the shot. The basic idea is that you want him to, like, there's designated spots around the arena that he can land in during this phase. So you want him to land in a spot that's going to be reasonably close for you to get to in time by the time he stops spinning. And you want that to be in the front as well, because it's easier to set up the other manipulations from the front side. Okay, so I'm going to go to Sand Mountain first. I'm going to do this stuff first, and I'm going to go up the menu after this. Okay, so if this looks kind of crazy to you, it's because it is. It's called Cruise Boosting. You can use the Bubble Bowl and the Cruise Bubble in the same frame in this game and do some crazy stuff, as it turns out. And you're going to see even crazier stuff in Flounder Hill, because there's ways to go even faster than this. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to give this a few attempts, and if I don't get it, I'm just going to do the alternate strat. Okay. Ooh, did that work? Ooh, it did. Nice. So this is called an LCB. Basically, when you cruise boost, you need to press Bubble Bowl and Cruise Bubble. That's very, very unfortunate, but I can back that up. I believe if I go around, maybe. There might not be a way to back it up. Which would suck a lot. I'm gonna try though. No, this should work. I think I can back it up from here. Maybe I have to go back further, I think. So yeah, turning when you have a cruise boost, especially one this fast, is kind of awkward. So I have to do like big arches like that sometimes. Okay, so there is a backup for that. I was not aware there was a backup because I've never missed that. But yeah, luckily there is. So how cruise boosting works on a basic level is that like it takes your displacement, the frame that you use the second cruise boost, and it uses that to determine the quote-unquote speed that gets stored. So the way that an LCB or a ledge cruise boost works is you go off a ledge to the side while that happens, and cruise boosting uses a vector to determine like the speed that you're going at that point, and that also includes vertical displacement in addition to horizontal displacement. So that's how ledge cruise boosting works, is you use vertical momentum in addition to horizontal. Okay, I'm going to play this a little bit safe, get rid of my LCB there. Because if you don't, then it can cause problems getting to the bottom of the slide. Okay, just get another cruise boost there, no big deal. That sock that was on that platform is the sock that we needed from this slide, which is the Sandan sock. We also got the Lodge sock before coming in here, so I'm going to mark that off too. And I think we needed both spatulas. Is that on the card? Okay, it looks like we didn't, but we didn't need both spatulas, but at that point it was fast to get them. Since we had to go into the slide anyway for that sock, it was fast to get that spatula, or those spatulas rather. Okay, security tunnel sock acquired. Now time for the cool trick that I alluded to earlier. Okay, that was not it, that was a failure. Okay, that was it. There we go. So doing that trick makes the spatula very fast, so even though I didn't need it on the card, still good to get anyway. I'm going to leave the prawn spatula in case I need it later. Okay. Alright, rock bottom time. Let me get some spatulas here, as well as some socks, even though I'm not sure that I need them to finish the game. Let me just look over it. Okay, I needed this spatula anyway, as it turns out, which I thought I did, but I didn't remember 100%. So this spatula that I'm going to be getting right here, slip sliding away, generally kind of slow spatula, but it's on the card, and it also gives 2 free socks. So even if it wasn't on the card, like I had to come back to rock bottom for some stuff anyway, so I probably still would have done this spatula. So which spatulas can I skip is the question. Okay, please. Thank you. So I need to go to the museum because we got some objectives in there as well. That's also an objective we needed. Swing along spatula. Nice little sock to get right there as well, even though we didn't need it. And that should be all the rock bottom spatulas in the streets. And now we just need the socks in the museum. We're also going to get the spatula here. This level just gets absolutely broken, in case you can't tell. Oh, whoops. Okay. Try again. Okay, got it the second time. Please get the cruise boost. Cruise boosting. Checkpointed. No way to recover that. Unfortunate. Gotta do this again. Okay, that that happens sometimes. Very rarely, but it does happen. Okay, gotta do all this again because we fell down and got checkpointed, so we couldn't even death warp back up. But yeah, this level just gets absolutely broken. So the ledge grabbing through these laser walls is just because you don't get... Okay, I am having a lot of trouble with this segment right now. Let's try that again. Okay, the tire was on a closer cycle to the ledge that time, so that's why I was able to get that. That's also a pretty cool way of skipping this whole second portion, just bashing under that wall with the cruise boost. I believe that's everything I need. No, I need the sock at the beginning still. Nope, that's not where I wanted to go. There is a cheeky little sock under here. Please. Okay, didn't even mean to die, but whatever. Time to go back to Goo Lagoon and get everything we need there. The first of those things is going to be Save the Children. Or it's not. Because I messed up the cruise boost a lot. Or it's going to be over the moat instead. Also with this sock. Yep, you're not supposed to get that spatula that way, but it's pretty cool. Alright, let's try this again. Luckily, you have multiple chances to do this. Okay, I'm gonna try for this. You can miss one cruise boost and make this, so... That's kind of scary to go for, but... Okay, we're still gonna make this cycle. Everything's fine. Ooh, ooh! I did not expect to get that. Okay, well, I'm gonna miss this cycle by a little bit. Okay. I'm just having a rough time right now with this. But doing this segment with cruise boosting is very, very tricky. Oh, I also need the sea cave socks. Can't forget about that. That's suspects? Okay. Alright, that jump is kind of sketchy if you miss it. Alright, let's go back to Jellyfish Fields and get everything we need here. Alright, unfortunate. Doing this portion with cruise boosting saves a lot of time. So while in any percent you would normally do some of this level before you have cruise boosting, better to do it with cruise boosting if you can. I'm gonna come over here real quick and get the sock we need. And then head on over to the end of the level. So unfortunately, we do have to go through the entirety of Jellyfish Fields for some objectives. because Jellyfish rock all spatulas is an objective, and one of those is the spatula for giving Squidward the King Jellyfish jelly. So unfortunately we do have to go and beat King Jellyfish to get that, which kind of sucks because Jellyfish Fields is pretty long level. Luckily there are some good spatulas to get along the way since we have to be here anyway. There's also Spork Mountain Sock as an objective on here, which is one of the later ones. That's the one that's on the King Jellyfish slide, for reference, so... Even if we didn't need the spatula, we would have had to come here anyway. Okay, recovered that RCB there. In case you're wondering, like, RCB is just when you do the cruise boost from the side, and if you hold L during the second animation, it cuts off the animation because it's trying to move SpongeBob away from the wall. And the game's like, oh, you can't use the cruise bubble while you're moving, so it just stops using the cruise bubble, and that saves time wherever you can do it most of the time. But recovering those when you miss them is an underratedly hard skill to master. Like, I'm not even very good at it myself. Alright. So that was Rock Skip. Pretty difficult, if I do say so myself. And failing it loses a lot of time. Coming up here. So if this was on disc, there would be a fast spatula we could do here. Drain the lake. With a trick called Drain the Lake Clip. But unfortunately, that's a lag clip, and it's not possible on HDD, so unfortunately not an option for me this time. That trick is actually, in my opinion, the hardest lag clip that we would do in runs. There's a lot going on with that one. And I put a lot of time into getting good at it, but unfortunately it's just not useful anymore. This might not make it all the way up. Yeah. Yeah, as you can see, Jellyfish Fields has a lot of stuff that you can get in any percent. It's just, you have to walk underneath the caves to get here, and then you have to do a pretty long climb up to the top of the mountain to even reap the benefits of this. So that's why it's not, like, I believe in most top level 100% routes, it's just not in the route anymore. If I'm not mistaken, at least at the time of making this video. Like, it's pretty universally agreed to be, like, the slowest portion of the run now on HDD. But there is a lot that you get out of doing it, even though it does take a little bit of time. Lots of spatulas, some pretty good free socks. Okay, mark that off, and then about to get that, so we'll mark that off as well. Now we gotta go to rooftops and get some socks and some spatulas. So we haven't entered downtown yet, so we gotta enter that now, which is part of the reason why I set up the menuing this way in the route that I'm doing, is because you have to make a full scroll either up or down the menu to do backtracking in this kind of route. Okay, not gonna bother going for that anymore. Cruise boosting off of characters is really, really difficult depending on the character that you're trying to do it on. There are some that are just like flat boxes for their hitboxes, but unfortunately Mrs. Puff is not one of them. Mrs. Puff is unfortunately a rounded hitbox, so cruise boosting off of her is very, very difficult. I need to get all the socks on rooftops, which means we're going to get to see the cool route, which I definitely prefer to the other route. Right, we need to get this spatula here, Swingin' Sandy, which I would probably get even if it wasn't on the card, just because it's right here. It's a pretty fast spatula. Alright. That jump is kind of scary sometimes. I'm gonna try this out. I like doing this to get this sock. This part can be very tricky. Yep. My dash input got eaten right there. That happens sometimes. Alright, time for the backup. Pretty cool backup strat right there. Alright, actually got the bash this time. It's faster if you're not, like, depending on the route, it's faster to come up here and get the sock first. And this time I believe it is. So we got all the socks we need and the spatula we needed. Now time to go to Kelp Forest. Get everything we need there. I don't believe we need the campers like I thought we did. In fact, I don't think we need several spatulas in here. So I'm probably going to skip around and get some spatulas. Or rather not get some spatulas. Oops. Okay. Please, get up. Okay. Backup strat time. I don't know if that was faster than what else I could have done. Alright, that worked. Very good. So yeah, this is pretty cool routing. Ooh, I didn't get the other sock. Hold on. I have to go over here and get this. Okay. Looks like that's not happening. Backup strat time. Whoops. Okay, please don't get hit. I'm not sure if this is the best way that I can back this up. Okay, worked. Worked out. I forgot about this sock for a brief moment, but we did get it. I don't know why I'm going up that way. All we need is the sock at the end. Whoops. Not sure how to recover this now. This segment's kind of going poorly. Also forgot I need the spatula anyway. Okay, let's try a different spot. Alright, that works. Okay, didn't quite want to drown because it's going to lose a little bit of time, but yeah, alright, so poor segment, but it's probably not that big of a deal. Alright, so I need the spatula for Mermaid Man's time challenge here, so I'm going to get this one and then that spatula as well. In case you're wondering, Kelp Forest is another one of these levels where we just enter through the back side of the level and can completely break it. So yeah, as a result of that time challenge is very, very fast and easy. Whoops. Please get spatula. Please don't fall off. Okay. Almost fell off that side. This spatula at the end of the caves is another good thing from this. We also get the warp there, so we can just warp to it and completely just do this level in reverse order. Okay, so I'm gonna get this spatula here. And then I believe I can skip the one that's in the cage here. Because I have so many socks right now. So we do need the socks here. And then I believe we'll be done for Kelp Forest. Okay, just one more up here. Oh, I didn't get the one on vines. Okay. I forgot there's a sock here. Okay, let's just go get it real quick. This is actually a pretty long sock, unfortunately. But yeah, so after this, I'll be returning to Dream to get the last 2 socks, as well as the spatula in Squid's Dream, because it's pretty fast. I don't believe I have to get the spatula in Crab's Dream, though. I probably won't get it, because it's pretty slow. Okay. This level runs on a cycle, kind of like Save the Children, so you do need to get a cruise boost within a reasonable amount of time to make this cycle. This level is one of my favorite segments to do in runs. The movement is really, really cool, in my opinion. Oh, I got all the socks and kelp, and like that. Oh, and there's another spatula here I wasn't even thinking about. Okay, just flat out whiffed. Okay, not gonna whiff that. Alright. So that spatula I left for later. This is also the reason why I got the box, because it's pretty fast. Just get that spatula and then just jump right in the box and go to Crab's Dream. Unfortunately, we can't do one of the cutscene skips here because you need the hand to be able to do it. So we have to sit through this cutscene, and bringing the hand back just to do this would be slower than just watching the cutscene, so fortunately you just have to kind of sit there and watch it. How did I not get the oil from that? I wanted to get that because it's faster just to walk over here with the oil. Okay, that's everything in Dream that we needed. Now we just need everything in Graveyard and then we can finish the run. Don't need that sock, so I'm not gonna get it. $40 socks is a lot of socks. Unfortunately, I don't think that those socks will be useful at all. Because we do have to get everything in Graveyard, which is 8 spatulas. So I believe that'll put me at 75 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I believe it will. But it is nice to have a bunch of extra socks as a backup in Bingo in case you end up being short on spatulas. Ooh, I don't know what I want to do, what route I want to do. I'm going to do this route. Kind of hesitated, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this was the correct decision, but we're going to do it. So unfortunately, this cage spatula is another one that's affected by the switch to HDD. I don't like this setup. This might not work. You want to live after you see this cutscene. Okay, everything's fine. So there is another way of getting this cage spatula that isn't a lag clip, but unfortunately it's way, way harder, so not a lot of people do it. But that's fine because this only loses like 20 seconds. So it's not the end of the world. Still greatly favored to run on HDD because of the faster loading times. Even though you do have to make some concessions like that because you don't have lag clips anymore. Cute little cruise boost there to save a second or two. Squidward is one of those characters that has a hitbox. So doing that cruise boost isn't the worst thing in the world, like it might look like it is. That cruise boost is kind of tricky sometimes because the wall that you're cruise boosting on isn't high enough for the cruise bubble to detonate on its own. So you have to manually press L in between your cruise boost inputs to cancel the animation. Which is kind of weird muscle memory, but with enough practice, it's not that bad. For cannons. Okay, if I can cruise boost. The element of cruise boosting is really interesting for this run because you can either get all your cruise boosts first try, or you can just miss every single one of them and lose a bunch of time. Let's try this again. Okay. Cruise boosting for the vast majority of runners is actually probably like the main source of time loss in runs. Like hitting a cruise boost first try saves a ton of time throughout the entire run. So unfortunately I have to watch this cutscene here to go to the Flying Dutchman fight, because we need to for the last spatula in the level. Okay. This cutscene's typically a pretty good break in the run to just kind of relax. Like, you're almost at the end of the run, you're on pretty good pace. Just take a second, relax a little bit before you have to finish the run. Okay. Okay, finally got it. So you might be thinking, like, oh, Dutchman's Graveyard all spatula is pretty slow, you have to fight the Dutchman. Fortunately, you do not have to fight him. You can just touch an invisible trigger that the devs just left in above the map, and it just ends the fight right away. So fortunately, we do not have to go through all that. And now that we have 75 spatulas and all the objectives completed, we'll just go in here and beat the game.
And here we are, folks, the main event. A gauntlet of ever-increasing ferocity.
Wow, completely whiffed. So again, you might be thinking, oh, we have to do the slow boss fight in the speedrun, how boring. Okay, and then I mess up the trick. Cool.
I guess SpongeBob won't be winning that way.
Okay, I messed it up again.
That does it. SpongeBob is back in the fight.
Again, we don't really need to do the boss fight. Just kind of do that.
Be able to neutralize the giant robot's brain?
This level just gets completely destroyed in the speedrun. Or I'm just gonna mess it up and look like a big idiot.
Will SpongeBob be able to neutralize the giant robot's brain?
That might not work. Ooh, saved it. Come on. Okay, got in there. That clip is very tricky and kind of complicated in like how it works, but not all that hard to execute. And yeah, this level just gets completely destroyed. Unless this happens. This hasn't happened to me in like literally so long, so of course it happens
SpongeBob
now.
be able to neutralize the giant robot's brain?
So yeah, you can just get stuck there sometimes, which is really unfortunate when you're on a good pace and you just get stuck like that. Okay, let's try again. Alright, that time it worked. I don't know, nobody knows why you just get stuck like that. Alright, and that's time as soon as we hit the final fuse. So not a great run. If I'm being completely honest, I'm pretty rusty at the game right now, all things considered. But, you know, not that bad. Hopefully that was a good showcase of what bingo is like in this game. A lot of on-the-fly routing, a lot of weird decisions you have to make that are not relevant at all in normal speedruns. There's a lot of variety in the stuff that you can be given on the card, which makes for some pretty interesting routes. Like the route I did is like, the early game route is like an old route at this point. Like there's a more updated beginning of the run that people do in 80% now. So it like heavily depends on the card what kind of routing choices you make. But yeah, I hope this was a good showcase of bingo in this game. I hope more people try out bingo in this game in general, because it's pretty fun, all things considered. So yeah, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed.